may not tribute, have you had any discussions with your members about dates for a possible strike, or dates to rule out, for example, the Easter holiday period?
Yes, so we've already issued a press statement on the Easter holiday period. We've said that we don't want to disrupt families who are taking Easter holidays, and therefore during the Easter holiday school period, first couple of weeks in April, we will not be taking any action.
Simon Gordon from The Independent. What has changed then between Christmas and Easter? Because obviously at Christmas and New Year, you were very prepared to wipe out 1 million travellers' Christmas plans. Over Easter, you're not prepared to do that. What is the big difference? Why were you keen to strike at families then and you're not now?
Well, I've got no intentions of rerunning the Christmas situation. What I can say is that the negotiations that we've conducted at the TUC with the company have led us to believe that certain movement has been made in areas that hopefully can result in a resolution. And we took a decision, therefore, so that there was no chance of the media attacking our members and wildly exaggerating their living styles and indeed their living styles and their rates of pay. We took a decision to extract that emotional element of Easter out of the arena.
When the last ballot result was announced, there was wild cheering from the Unite members who were there in that hall, and that footage leaked out, and that must have been pretty embarrassing for you. I mean, is there a real sense now among union officials that you've got to play this all a bit differently, that you just weren't winning that public relations battle?
Well, it's not so much a public relations battle that we are in business to win. It's to win the hearts of our members and to make certain that whatever we do, they support.
Now, care about public opinion?
Now, that of course I care about public opinion, which is why we're addressing you now. But the important thing is our membership. And the wild cheering that you heard on that particular day was because our members were happy that their union was prepared to take forward their grievance. Now, 80% of our members, 81% of our members, despite all the provocation that they've had to put up with over the number of weeks now, have done exactly the same. And I've no doubt that they will be very relieved and very happy with that result, and will be expecting us to prosecute their dispute, and we will. Sorry.
Philip Hank from The Times. Do you think this call to strike will strengthen your hand in the ongoing negotiations? And secondly, there seems to be an unspoken consensus that the real issue driving this strike is BA's new fleet proposals. Are these being discussed in your negotiations?
Well, first of all, I don't see it as a question of strengthening hands. What we're saying to British Airways is that we hope they will recognise that, remember, these are their employees. Forgive me for repeating myself, these are primarily the employees who've made British Airways the premier airline. And what we're hoping is that British Airways management will recognise that there is a real deep sense of grievance. And so that should mean that they work even harder than they currently are to try to resolve the dispute between us. And as regards issues, well, we are looking at all issues that are on the table. Nothing is precluded from our discussions, because what we do want, we want to secure an honourable agreement that our members are happy with, that secures their future, but at the same time assists in making certain that British Airways can move forward as a viable operation, and that we're not back here every 6 months with a dispute on our hands.
Dan from The Guardian. Have you received any legal correspondence from BA over the past week regarding the strike?
I don't think so.
No.
They've not sort of repeated the events before the strike in Christmas, when they sent several letters to you warning you that there might be irregularities?
We've had nothing at all.
Well, Paul's in charge of our legal department, so he can answer that. But
confident that the ballot will stand up?
Well, you know, am I confident of the law? Well, that would need me to keep you here till midnight to answer that. Let me just repeat my mantra again, and I hope British Airways are listening to this. This can only be resolved through negotiation, not litigation or intimidation. Let's get back round the table. Let's make certain that we are engaged in meaningful discussions that enables us to move forward in the manner that I've suggested.
Chris from ITV News again. The British Airways have said that they are willing to stick this one out and dig their heels in to get a good result. Are you, and how long are you prepared to take strike action for in the months going ahead?
I think it's always regrettable when either side start to demonstrate that they're more macho than the other. So British Airways can speak for themselves. All I know is that our members have given us the clearest possible mandate that they wish to exercise their democratic and legal right to withdraw their labour because they feel so aggrieved. Now, let me repeat something that I've said many times. This is not a mindless bunch of workers who want to bring British Airways down. And it must have got through to everybody by now that they have a real sense of grievance. So what we're saying to British Airways is please recognise that. Let's get round the table and let's cut a deal so that we can all move on and not have to worry about the pressures and tensions that currently our members are currently having to deal with.
And just as far as not having a date for a strike, I mean, you said you're still talking to them. Effectively, you don't have a deadline to resolve any issue or negotiations with the VA. Do you not feel that that weakens any position as far as talks go, and what you actually want to, when is too long enough? I mean, how long will you keep talking before you say enough's enough, we're now going to strike?
Well, I'm not putting any preconditions on our talks. We have a huge mandate set against extraordinary circumstances. That should make certain that British Airways, as well as ourselves, concentrate our minds to try to resolve this dispute, because if we cannot reach an agreement, then undoubtedly there will be a dispute, and it will be a deeply damaging dispute. That's something that we would like to avoid, and that's what we'll be working towards.
Follow up. You've been talking for about a year now, and you haven't been able to do that. So what makes you think now, I mean, other than the fact that there is a threat of strike?
Well, I don't think it's true to say we've been talking for years. There's been talks that take place. British Airways is no different from many, many other companies. Talks take place on and off. Certainly, the seriousness of this situation only came to fruition at the back end of last year when the senior officers of the union became involved. And what we're hoping is that the talks under the auspices of Brendan Barber, the TUC General Secretary, will result in trying to bring both sides together so that we can reach an acceptable solution. Who hasn't spoke yet? That's the thing.
Apologies if you've already addressed this, but I seem to recall last time in December the yes vote was 92.5%, and it seems to be about 80.7%, and I'm wondering how you account for that.
Well, yes, sorry, I have, if you weren't in, I have accounted for it. Our members have been subjected to the most disgraceful pressure, bullying tactics, intimidation by both British Airways management, the threat of a strike-breaking group, the threat of staff travel being taken away from them, and other matters, the behaviour of senior professionals like some pilots, not all pilots, the majority of the pilots have been first class, but some. So all of that pressure has moved to a position where, of course, people feel intimidated, but that result is, by anybody's standards, incredible and extraordinary.
So, bad news for British Airways management and the airline's passengers as well. Of course, cabin crew have voted overwhelmingly to take strike action. 81%